By 1864, Mosby and his men were achieving his goal of producing fear in the minds of the enemy as a force multiplier. Union cavalrymen on duty against Mosby on the Washington, D.C. cavalry screen felt surrounded, even though they far outnumbered his small force. When a Union cavalry force marched into Mosby's Confederacy, they saw outlined on the sky silhouettes of mysterious riders mounted on seemingly giant horses and sitting, motionless, on the surrounding hills. It was useless to fire at the rebels because they were just out of range. They were at home and thoroughly familiar with every byway, traveling light, with no blanket, knapsack, or canteen. As the Union column moved along, the figures would disappear and appear again on hills farther along. Sometimes, when the column slowed to ford a creek, snipers would fire long-range rifles, sending bullets pit-patting into the trees by the road. A horse or a man would fall, wounded or dead, creating the stress of constant alert. Mosby would gallop his fast horse within shooting range of the advance, fire a few shots from his revolver, and yell, "Come on, Yanks!" attempting to draw a few men into ambush. Besides the danger of being killed by sniper fire, one of the foremost thoughts in a man's mind was the hope that his horse would hold out and he would not become separated. He knew that Mosby's men were watching for horses with drooping heads and trembling knees, for when a horse staggered and broke down and a man fell behind, he was gobbled up. Toward night, when the shadows of the trees lengthened and the dark deepened in the forest, one imagined sinister, lurking dangers so that riding between patches of woods close on each side of the road was a gauntlet of fear. One night in the winter of 1863-64, about 150 men of the 1st Rhode Island Cavalry scouted for Mosby north of the Rappahannock River. They were veterans, and the expedition was unremarkable until their return toward camp at 11 p.m. The night was cold and clear, and as they approached a wooded area, they heard the sound of horses approaching, hoofbeats pounding on the frozen road. Drawing their sabers, they charged and captured 2 trembling African-American men on 2 poor, woebegone mules. It was a mistake to stay overnight inside Mosby's Confederacy unless the detachment had a strong commander and a contingent of infantry to provide a feeling of security, for the night belonged to Mosby and his men. Rangers would roll wagons toward the camp and shout commands to imaginary artillery and infantry. They attempted to lure men into ambush by sending a civilian into the camp with word that Mosby himself was present, and this was their chance to capture him. They would keep the Federals awake by firing revolvers and lighting fireworks. And when it was time for the changing of the guard, a few Rangers pretending to be Union soldiers would march up to a picket and announce with authority, "Corporal of the Guard with 3rd Relief," and take the man captive.